Hi, and welcome to another episode of Nursing Your Way to Wealth, where a mental health nurse and an accountant talk about wealth creation, personal development, and financial independence in the UK to help you live the life you deserve. Hello, and welcome back. This is episode 50 of Nursing Your Way to Wealth. And today, Alex and I are going to answer a bit of a question of what does financial stability mean to you? So we're going to answer it probably together and individually, and we'll think about other kind of ways around what financial stability means to other people. I have asked four other people. I didn't tell you this, Alex, but at work I asked four other people this question today, and I have their thoughts kind of noted down as well. So we'll go through that as well. But I feel a little bit of a celebration is in order because we got to episode 50. I feel like it's a bit of a milestone. And it's actually the first episode of 2025.
Yeah, hi everybody, and yeah, happy New Year. And yeah, it is a crazy milestone. We've done 50, which is yeah, a massive achievement actually. And hopefully everybody's found the content useful and are in better financial shape because of it. I know it certainly helped me doing these episodes. And I think today's topic of financial stability is a really interesting one. And yeah, I'd be really keen actually to hear what your colleagues thought. But I mean, when we were discussing this, I mean, immediately a few things came to my mind around financial stability. And I think if we zoom out and look at what the path to financial independence, with starting, one end of the spectrum being, completely underwater, you're financially dependent on somebody else, and then the other side being you're financially independent, your money's paying for your lifestyle, definitely along that kind of continuum, probably somewhere I don't know, a third of the way along, I think you get to financial stability. And I think for me, that's where you're comfortably earning more than you are spending. You know where your money's coming from, where it's going. You're, you've got a good budget in place. There's no shocks that come up. And if there are any shocks, you've got a bit of an emergency fund to help support that. You've got some insurance behind you, so life insurance, your car's insured, your income protection insurance if that's relevant. And I think either having no consumer debt, or if you have it, it's very manageable and is going to be paid off very soon. Um, and I think for me, it's a bit of a nice feeling where you're not consciously then worried about money day to day. You know that you can go to the shops and you can buy your groceries if your car breaks down. As my car battery has actually failed, as I found out today from the garage, and needs replacing. But that is a an inconvenience of £300, not a disaster. Um, but I think you're able to kind of weather those storms without, falling into back into crisis. So I think you're in like a really nice, steady, calm state when it comes to money. And I think that was my immediate kind of reactions were those things came to my mind of, yeah, I feel I'm in really good position. And essentially, if I now continue as I am for however long, I will meet my financial independence goal. And so that for me was the almost the steady state, reaching that financial stability, which yeah, those are the things that came to my head um around this.
I would agree. And while you were talking, just kind of, I was thinking about principles that we've talked about here before, which are like spend less than you make, insure yourself against like unpredictability or disaster, and then just invest for the long run. And if you boil it down to those three kind of core principles that we've spoken about probably since day one, you're setting yourself up for success, and the only kind of thing you need at that point is time. And then the earlier you start, the more time you have. So it's it's interesting that you mentioned as well, kind of stability is the opposite of crisis and kind of panic. So that where I obviously work in kind of the mental health field and psychiatric nursing, etc., when we would consider somebody to be stable, they're able to weather life. They're able to deal with life in a way that makes sense, that's kind of purposeful, meaningful. And if they're not and they're unstable, it creates a picture of someone in a bit of a pickle, a bit of a problem for whatever that may mean. So the ability to weather the unpredictability of life I think it kind of defines that steady state really well. So what we're trying to do and what we have been trying to do for the last 50 episodes is to create financial stability for every person listening and including ourselves as well. So, and we talk about kind of the journey we go through and how we've got there, things we've learned, mistakes we've made along the way to enhance the stability. And I think for some reason, Alex, all of our things here come back to water related stuff. And we had an episode a while ago and there was just water puns after water pun. But you say here about being underwater, like being in debt, being in consumer debt, and just you're kind of drowning in it. And it's really like if you don't solve that, that's going to become a problem. And I think if we think about like financial stability from that lens, the beginning of grasping your finances and sorting those out will be instead of you being underwater, you're sitting in a little boat, like a little kind of canoe or something that you're rowing yourself, and the oars are kind of like your income. And as you kind of practice these principles of spending less, you can row faster. You get a second set of oars with a partner or something, husband, wife, spouse, or something. And then when you start to invest, you kind of upgrade your boat and you kind of get either a little engine, which is the investing returns, or you get a bigger ship that can weather the seas and you start adding sails. And the more investing you do, the bigger your sails get. And eventually you don't have to row anymore. You can just kind of leave it be. And that's when you know, I think you're financially stable. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, I like that analogy, and I think yeah, nautical analogies are pretty good, and
Yeah, maybe we should have called this nautical finance.
that's it. Yeah, but I think that's it's a nice way of thinking about it, and it's the bigger boat you have, the more stable you are, and you have your little oars, and your oarsman rowing, and then you add your sails in, and it all then you've got this big almost armada's the wrong word, but the big sailing ships that used to sail in armadas. You get one of
Yeah,
them
like huge,
rowing for you. Galleons.
huge ships with icebreakers and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You just weather anything that comes your way, except perhaps an iceberg.
that's it. And I think another part of financial stability as well is that on like a psychological side of, I think you're a lot more comfortable with what money means to you and a bit more comfortable about your own situation. And by that I mean you're probably less peer pressured by others to buy or keep up with others, or you are comfortable, I'm just going to keep the latest phone, or buy my phone rather than have the latest one, or I'll just wear the clothes that I have rather than rush out and get the new clothes or whatever it might be. I think that you become a bit more numb to the commercialization of things, and not saying everybody becomes a hermit, but I think it's a little bit, it's quite freeing. And I think that's, for me, was the first time I felt myself not being as swayed by other people for by money decisions, and I knew I was comfortable, and
Hmm.
I almost didn't want to rock the ship or rock the boat by introducing more liabilities or things to my life, whether that be, I'll upgrade my car and get, a brand new car on a lease, or I'll actually upgrade my house and get a bigger mortgage and stuff. It was, I think, what society tells you to do or what you should be signaling to others definitely wasn't. I didn't feel like that there was any pressure. Whereas I look at some of my friends and stuff, and you can kind of see that still there. And I think for me, at that financial stability point, I certainly could feel a psychological shift. And I think that's because you could create this bit of a barrier between you and the world.
Hmm.
You know where your money's coming in and out. You don't have anything worrying you. It's quite a nice, calm, content place to be. And I almost got to that point. I didn't want to ever not have that and only ever feel better about money. So I think psychologically, the kind of the stability milestone definitely had a big psychological impact. I don't know if you're similar.
Yeah, and I think it's a good like feelings and emotions are really powerful, and that like obviously that's been a while for you. I imagine some years that
Mm.
you've started to feel that way, and you the way you describe it, it's almost as if you can picture that happening again. So it's a really kind of potent, powerful emotion that you've had. It's just a bit of kind of contentness, a bit of calming kind of calming nature there. So if we link it back to the ship and the water analogy, like what an emergency fund will do is give you a really big like icebreaker on the front of your
Mm.
ship, and it allows the rest of it to continue going, even though stuff will get in the way. The sails will be your investments to help power you along. The engine or the wind or the oars and the people who are rowing is kind of your income, and then you have things like the protection, the insurances that we've kind of mentioned before, and those are things that will all keep your financial ship going through difficult times. So if you lose, I don't know, you break some of your oars and you lose a job for a little bit, you've got something there to continue that momentum. Because what you don't want to do is just be stuck without any means of propulsion. So maybe one day, Alex, we turn this into I don't know, some kind of animated video or something like that, because I feel like it's quite a good um, it's good to picture something like that, because when we talk about all these abstract concepts, seeing it in motion might, yeah, it might help. um,
Yeah, I agree. And maybe I'm sure there's an AI tool that you can feed this into and it'll create a story. Um,
yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Well, we'll work on that in the meantime. But in terms of like the stability thing, because I didn't kind of answer the question, but for me it's just an absence of worry,
mm,
and it's more of a removal of negative thoughts and emotions. So a lot of that is an absence of worrying. It's an absence of not necessarily panic, but just like a general uneasiness. Like in medicine, we'd call that malaise, for a general feeling of unease. And I think on the flip side of that, it helps you sleep better. It helps you make better decisions because you can use the part of your brain, like the rational part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, you can use that to its full extent. If you're not worried, you're not anxious, you're not concerned about something else. So I think creating a little bit of financial stability, perhaps not all the way there yet, it kind of becomes self-fulfilling because you're then able to think more clearly. You make better financial decisions when you're already on really on the correct path.
yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think that, the benefits of sleeping well and being, on top of your game,
Mm,
money has a
massive.
huge, it keeps a lot of people awake at night, I imagine. And the absence of that worry is definitely, yeah, I think it can't be underestimated. I think that's, being able to sleep well at night is, one of the, biggest things. And I think I think I watched a interview with the Jack Bogle, who was the guy that founded Vanguard, and um, he was asked what his portfolio construction is in terms of how much stocks and how much bonds and things. And I mean, he's multi-millionaire, but he said, "Oh, yeah, I just have 50% stocks, 50% bonds because I don't like the volatility of the stock market, and it just helps me sleep at night." And which I thought was then he's had that allocation for decades. Um,
Yeah. And he's worth tens of millions of pounds, or was.
hundreds probably, yeah. But it
Okay.
was, but it's to the point of, I mean, he's so financially stable, it's unbelievable. But it's still that point of, yeah, I just like to sleep well at night, and I think there is,
Hmm.
it's a good objective and good goal to have. I think being,
Definitely, yeah. I mean, basing your financial decisions on how well you sleep, I think, is a good metric, and generally how well you feel. But I think, I mean, even someone with his financial means and his financial knowledge is kind of massive, and it surpasses a lot of other people's, including mine. But if he needs a 50-50 allocation to help him sleep at night, then go for it. I mean, what it does is remove the difficult emotions around change. Humans hate change. We know that. We find it difficult to adapt to unpredictable situations, which is why the stock market can leave you kind of bleeding at the side of the road, not physically, but it can cause a whole range of emotions. And I've heard other stories, kind of from reading other books, listening to other podcasts, of people saying that actually I need £10,000 in my account and that is my zero. So I know that I'll be okay regardless of what goes on. I've heard of people holding a little bit less and people holding far more. I think on Pete Matthews' show, Meaningful Money, he spoke to one of his clients, well, she's a um, financial advisor, planner, has his own company, etc. But one of his episodes, he mentions there's a lady he works with who has £250,000 just sitting in cash in her bank account because that's the amount of money she believes she needs to sleep well at night.
Wow.
Yeah, mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Like just in cash, doing nothing.
yeah. Oh man.
But if you need that to sleep,
Well, that's it. And actually, yeah, good for her.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure it's only a small portion of what she has available. Certainly, if she's using someone like Pete to
Yeah.
help her out, but it's crazy kind of how we think about it. And we've covered a couple of episodes on money psychology, and it's just interesting the lessons we learn really shape how we view it. I mean, Alex and I, we've discussed our own lessons in money that we've learned growing up. They're very different, so we've both come to this kind of viewpoint and path via two very different routes. And as I said earlier on, I've spoken to a couple of my colleagues today about financial stability. And it was just a kind of a quick chat. I didn't do any kind of surveys or anything. Like it's not
Yeah.
rigorous or anything like that at all. But I just asked them the same question, and I got four kind of quite different answers. So
Oh, okay.
one person said that I can meet all of my outgoings or bills,
Hmm.
so meet those comfortably without having to worry.
Yeah.
Another one said financial stability means no mortgage. Um, and then a third one said it means more than I have now. So the belief that just having more money than they do now, earning more than they have now, will make them financially stable. And another person said they'll never feel it. They have no idea what it's like. It's just an unattainable thing that it's just something that they're never going to feel. They don't think they'll ever reach a stage where they can tell themselves or feel that they are financially stable.
Well, that's interesting. How old was that person who said they would never feel it?
Young,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact
No, no,
age.
yeah, but
Definitely
young.
less than me. I want to say early to mid 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and then the one that said it's about not having a mortgage, I imagine I'd guess they would be slightly older.
Yes. Yeah. It's just like finishing that off, getting rid of it.
Yeah, which
Um,
I can, yeah,
yeah.
completely understand.
Again, don't know ages exactly, but I want to say kind of 40 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being very careful, diplomatic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just interesting, isn't it? That I mean, of those people, we all work in health, right? We all have our own views on it, etc. But it means very different things to different people. I mean, Alex and I, you and I, we think quite similarly, I think, on a range of financial things. I certainly learn a lot from you about kind of the nitty gritty finance bits. And it depends on what you believe around money and what lessons you learn kind of as you're growing. Because it could mean to somebody being able to eat a hot meal every day,
Yeah.
or it could mean to somebody having 7 cars and anything in between. Um, or it could mean just, I don't know, being able to feed your children and you eating 3, 4 times a week. It's so broad. And I think as it's kind of lifestyle inflatory here, but as we live in the West, we do have things easier than other people in
Hmm.
other countries. But I feel like it's related or relevant to kind of who you are and what you've gathered. And I wonder whether, if I'd thought about this before I started taking finances seriously, whether I ever whether I ever felt truly financially unstable. I mean, there were times when my electricity went off, and my fridge kind of food kind of slowly spoiling, and my freezer started leaking overnight. But I always had some money, like I could scrape a few pounds together to go and put some more electricity money on the meter. And I think I did have a financial safety net. Like if I needed to, I could ring one of my parents and say, "Oh, I need to borrow 20 quid here." So I don't think I was ever um, really on the unstable side, and actually, I should be very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before. I think there was one one point in when I was doing my masters where I really was like I ran out of money and like sold my car to get
Yeah,
it. And
you did. I remember.
and it was that thing of avoiding looking at the bank statements to see the overdraft fees and all that. It was, and I never ever wanted to go back there. But I don't think ever
Mm.
since that point, and that wasn't deep. And worst case, I could have. I'm sure one of my parents would have bailed me out to the tune of a few £100s. But
Mm.
I was never then in spiraling, you know, credit card debts and stuff. I think I've always been fairly,
Yeah, potential homelessness,
yeah. So I don't think I've
etc.
ever been on that like that end of the spectrum. But I definitely found it took me like when I first started working, that was, I probably would have like an extra £100 a month excess because you
Mm.
start on a graduate salary in central London. It doesn't rent and stuff is a lot. Um, it used to take up a lot of my money, but I think once I certainly when I qualified as an accountant, there's a bit of a pay bump, and ever since then I've felt very stable. Um,
Mm. I guess, is there any stability in like the skill set you have that you know you could find work somewhere because you have uh, a skill set that's valued?
that yeah, that's a good angle actually. I think there is some comfort in that, and I imagine you feel the
Mm.
same in that.
Yeah, like I would always be able to find work sort of in England, around in England, perhaps Wales, Scotland, I don't know, and I would be able to earn a minimum salary.
Yeah,
Um, so I guess there is a bit of stability in that, and that's in knowledge and education because like avoiding some kind of traumatic brain injury, I'm still going to know what I know,
yeah,
and no amount of hopefully anything really can take that away from me, excluding obviously dementia and some kind of traumatic head thing. But I think there's some stability in that, knowing that I can find work and I will be able to find work. So maybe there's an educational part of that stability.
I think that's a really excuse me. I think that's a really good point actually, and I think that it goes for a lot of like if you're younger and choosing what kind of career you want to go into, having something that they'll kind of there's a high level of demand for that service
Mm.
that I'm thinking not just kind of the traditional professions, but stuff like being a joiner or being a like kitchen fitter or plumber or engineer, like an electrician.
Yeah, a
All
car
those,
mechanic. Look at your battery.
yeah, 300 quid that is today for my battery to get replaced. Yeah,
Yeah, but at the now, today for you, when you are financially stable, as you said, it's an inconvenience. It's not a calamity.
yeah.
Back then, when you were at uni and you
Oh,
had £100 spare per
uh, uh,
month, that would have been that would have been a problem.
it would 100%. Yeah, that would be sell the car time probably. Um,
Yeah, work some extra shifts, or I don't know,
yeah,
do something to try and find the difference. And
exactly.
I think you said earlier it's not deep, but I mean I've been there where I was doing some extra shifts at the hospital where I'd put in an extra 3 or 5 shifts per month in just so I could have some spare cash because I would feel a bit more comfortable having it
Hmm.
in case I did need 2 tires at the same time or my car did fail its MOT. And I used to get real nervous around MOT time, especially that day, because if they brought me back a list of things,
Yeah,
I'd be in trouble. I'd go beyond what I needed. Um, yeah, and now obviously I don't feel that. So I wonder, obviously, the practices we speak of that we have spoken about before um, have aided some of that stability alongside kind of the investments that we have and the emergency fund, etc.
yeah. I think no doubt, and I think it's the and I think also, I guess the behavior that you need to have to get yourself to a financially stable platform is then the behavior that it stays with you. You never lose that. And that's the
Mm,
springboard then to get to go even further. Um, but it's like, yeah, I think there is a bit of comfort in knowing that you are a skilled professional and there's I don't think AI will take over my job in the next kind of 10 years. So or definitely not yours and many other jobs out there.
I'd
So
hope not.
yeah, I doubt it. But I think there is nice. It's an additional safety net. It's you're not
Yeah,
worried on that side. Yeah.
yeah, if we think about kind of ships again and kind of momentum and moving forward, it's just some I can't speak. some additional sales, isn't it? It's some form of propulsion in the right direction that, barring anything massively problematic happening, you'll still be able to earn a salary.
Yeah,
And if you don't and you can't for whatever reason, that's where step two, the income protection, comes in. So you can still maintain that. And they all come together to form what should be the best ship in the world. It will sail you anywhere you need to go,
that's it. Yeah,
as long as you get the direction right.
yeah, that's it. And it's interesting. When a few a few years ago, I was doing some training, and it was a mixed. It was when I was working for BT, and we can't remember what the training was on, to be honest. Um, but it was all mixed, different professions, and different parts of the business. It wasn't just like a sole finance training thing. And the instructor said it was talking about like managing some of your emotions, whatever. And we asked a question like, "Oh, if you were to be told you're going to be made redundant like tomorrow, like how do you feel?" And most of the people in the room were like, "Oh, I can't be made redundant. That would be horrible. Could I really need the money. I need the job. I don't think I'd get another one." And it was quite telling because some of these were kind of on the more mature side and like the fear of losing a job. Whereas, I mean, you'd get paid off redundancy money. So I said I'd quite happily, if that's the case, I wouldn't feel devastated. I'd take the money and
Hmm.
I'm quite comfortable be able to find something else. It's obviously not nice, but I wouldn't be terrified and okay, it might hurt your pride a little bit, but it certainly I saw in that room some people were really quite um instantly quite worried about that
Yeah, they
happening.
just had like a fear anxiety
Yeah, yeah.
response when actually the more you know about certainly money and finances, because it'll affect you whether you know about it or
Mm,
not. It's the same as like money and health, as Morgan Housel has put it. So the fact that you had more of an understanding of it, and you have learned these things over time, you see it differently. You don't see it as, oh, someone else can make a decision that will negatively impact my life. It's okay, that's happened. Yes, I'll take the redundancy pay and I'll use that so I can look around and I can really find something that actually benefits me. Because it might find that, say you get, I don't know, 2 3 months redundancy, because you are financially stable, you don't have to go back to work when that money runs out. You're not going to burn through it really quickly. You can then take 6 months to find the right job for you, and it could be you get a job earning twice as much, or you can negotiate something that fits you better, and you might come out the other end even better than the job you were previously in, and it would end up being probably one of the best conversations you'd had.
yeah. It's amazing that I think often there's that initial view of you're going to be a lot worse because you've just been made redundant. But actually, as you
Mm.
said, you look at the opportunity and actually you could find the perfect job for you and yeah, earn more or have something a lot more meaningful. It could be
Yeah.
a real springboard. But yeah, I think that's another thing which helps on I think having confidence and building up I guess a career and a reputation, I think does help. It's another string to the bow or another sail on the boat
Yeah.
for financial stability.
Yeah, professional networks are super important as well,
Yes.
aren't they? Like, it's if you are in, so, I don't know, you're still in the ship, for example, and you lose a sail or something, and things are going a bit badly, and then someone comes along and they're like, "Don't worry, mate, I'll just fix your sail, no problem," and they help you find another job. So that's really important from a social angle as well. So you have that, you have other people kind of there to help you out too. And I just wonder, in terms of like putting those, all of those kind of aspects that we've talked about together, if there's not just one thing that kind of outsize helps more than anything else, it's a little bit of all of them, and they come together to form a really solid
Mm.
foundation.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the key. You kind of start to piece together the jigsaw, don't you, with all of them to create a really stable
Mm,
footing.
yeah, and before you know it, you can weather most things that come along, and a bill just, it does become an inconvenience rather than a big problem. And I think as well, like redundancies is always seen as a
Mm.
negative thing, isn't it? It's like there's mass redundancies at this company and this many people are being laid off. But actually, it depends on how you frame it, what lens you're looking at it through, and how stable you are like how stable your financial ship or your financial house is. And it can be it can either provoke anxiety, or it can add a little bit of change, a little bit of stress, perhaps. But then in the brain, a little bit of stress will sharpen your senses and sharpen your mind. Too much, and then the wheels come off or the sails break. A little bit of that can really motivate you to be like, right, I need to do this now. I need to do something. Let's kind of ask that person who I met at that conference. Let's speak to this person over here, find out what they're doing. Let's look at a broader angle, stuff that you perhaps haven't thought about before. Can you work something around like that? So it can be a really powerful tool to get you way further along.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way of looking at it. I've not really, yeah, I hadn't really thought of it in that way about stress actually being quite good for you sometimes.
We need, so we need a little bit of it in our body and in our brain. But when we get too much, it just doesn't work. So, like a good example of this is when you say you're somewhere and you get goosebumps and you feel a little bit on edge, and all of a sudden, like your hearing gets better, your eyes kind of, you can see a wider field of vision. You're like, actually, I need to be alert here. So let's just turn all of these things up. That happens when you feel a little bit stressed, and that's when you see the examples of people doing superhuman things. And it's like lifting cars off people. It's like forcing lift doors open.
Yeah.
It's doing stuff that physically you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do. It's a huge rush of adrenaline and cortisol that gives you that ability. So, I mean, I'm not saying being made redundant means you need to lift the car. Please don't try it. But the science kind of stacks. It's the same.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, the human body is an amazing thing. And again, the more you understand it, the kind of the better and easier it'll be. Right, Alex, I'm going to go and do some yoga. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in terms of financial stability? Because I'm going to work on my physical stability.
Yeah, that's a good plan. And no, I think that's everything on my side.
Cool. So we got an episode 50, which is a bit crazy, isn't it? I feel like it was recently that we're like, this is episode 1 and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And now we've got to 50. It feels a bit surreal.
It does, doesn't it? It's a massive achievement.
Yeah, I think so. Because a lot of, I've read somewhere that most things don't get past episode 7 if people start something like either YouTube, podcast, or blog or something. There's some kind of stumbling block around 7 episodes or 7 things. And we've done 6 times that now.
Yeah, that is, unbelievable.
Yeah, pat yourself on the back, and I will do the same.
So the power of habit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've always said Wednesdays, this is what we do, and here we are. Okay, with that in mind,
Perfect. Well, enjoy your yoga.
Yeah,
and I think, to any listeners, if you do have any topics or you'd be keen to join one of the conversations, then please reach out.
Yeah, please do. We'd love to have you here, and we'll talk you through things. If you've got any ways that you have found financial stability yourself that we haven't talked about, email us in and we'll read them out. Or you can come on and talk to us about it. So that's been episode 50. Thank you, Alex, for your time, and I'll see you next week, my friend.
Yes, see you next week.
None of what we discuss on the show is to be considered financial or health advice, and we recommend you always do your own research or consult an independent financial advisor or a doctor when making your financial or health decisions.